And we are live with Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where every single week we react to the latest Nintendo news and talk about the games we are playing. Today's going to be a fun show. There's a lot of pretty interesting, fun things to talk about, especially that Mario trailer. We finally saw it. I'm sure we have tons of opinions on that, and the internet has been insane ever since that got shown off. And I've seen a lot of funny memes involving this movie already. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. But with me here today, as always, is Mary Stowe, social media manager and host here at Destructoid. How you doing, Mary?
Doing good.
Awesome. Then we have Greg Bargas, writer over at PC Invasion and streamer over at Dynamite Giraffe. How you doing, Greg?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Thank you for that pause. I really needed that. All right.
I dedicated that pause to Angela Lansbury. Rest in peace, Queen.
No, let's just her.
No.
I mean, that was a really good intro too.
I think it got some of the intro, not all of it.
Okay, and it should be working now. Sorry about that.
Was it ever working? That's the question.
It was working, but I accidentally pressed mute, so it was on me.
Are you serious? You accidentally pressed mute.
Okay.
How does that even happen?
At least that's an easily solved technical issue.
I wonder how far ago that happened, though. You know, so I don't even know what I've said, what I didn't say. Anyway, let's just hop on back into it. Sony's apparently remaking Horizon Zero Dawn, which would be totally unnecessary. The game's only 5 years old. Apparently, they're going to add some new animations and textures and character models. Totally not worth it, or not even just necessary at all. So I thought it'd be fun to go around the table and talk about remakes and remasters that have already happened that we think were totally worth it and actually necessary. So we're going to start off with, who should I pick first? How about Mary? Because she's been keeping hers a mystery a little bit. So
Mystery Mary.
Once I say it, y'all are going to be like, oh, of course, Mary would say this one, though. I'm surprised y'all don't know. Do
Wind Waker. I bet. Wind Waker.
Is it Wind Waker?
No.
Oh.
Close. Skyward
not
Sword.
Wind Waker.
Oh, Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
That terrible control scheme, though.
But in the remake, they gave traditional control schemes, which is...
That's what I was talking about, though.
Anyway, it's fine. It's perfectly fine. But, like, it came out for the Wii, obviously, and, like, it was, you know, very Wii game where it was motion control only, and a lot of people had various issues with it for multitude of reasons. They just didn't like it. I've heard people, it's not very accessibility friendly in some aspects. And yeah, like, and so a lot of people either never picked it up or they picked it up and then just put it down like very quickly and missed out on what like a great story Skyward Sword is and how important it is like to the Zelda series. And of course, like you can go online, you can watch other people play it, you can listen to the music, you can get the story recaps, but it's really different experiencing it. And so when Nintendo announced that they were remaking Skyward Sword and that they did have the traditional control schemes, I was actually really surprised because I never thought they would actually invest the time in it. I was like, I don't know. Like, I feel like they could have the resources to do it, but it's more a matter of, do they think it's worth it? And they did.
Yeah. Now, I think this was a great choice for a game to be remastered, basically, because the art style ages pretty damn well. The textures are a little muddy overall, but the art direction and the vision of the game was strong from all those years ago. So now, when it's simply up-res, which is basically what it got, it was an up-res job, and most of the effort went into the new controls and whatnot. It still looks pretty good. Like, the art style looks great, in my opinion. I did not like, the only thing I didn't like was the fact that you couldn't just set it so that the right stick always turned the camera, and then when you hold down R, I think it was, then you swing if you use the right stick.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that I didn't like.
I could see that. And like, I honestly like got used to like the tradition. I call them traditional controls. It's not completely traditional. It's just you're able to actually play with a pro controller. But I adjusted to it better than I thought I would, honestly. But I've been watching other people play it, and I've heard from other people that like it's their first time playing Skyward Sword, and they're like, "Oh, this is weird." And I'm like, "Yeah, you have to kind of go into it acknowledging that it was a strictly motion control game made to fit a pro controller, and then it kind of clicks a little bit better."
Yeah. John, did you ever get around to playing this remaster?
No, I didn't. Like, if it was, it's gonna have to be really cheap for me to actually touch it.
I think I just saw that it was 40. That's pretty rare for Nintendo.
Yeah, that's cheap for Zelda.
I need it for
Greg,
like
did you play this?
20.
I did not. Only played the original.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you finish
Which
the original?
Of course not. But I will say that I did not have. I don't know. I was a really big fan of the Wii. Like even early on, I think I bought mine day one, so it was a little bit different story for me. I was like all about motion controls and like just enjoying it for what it was. And so when it came to Zelda, I was like, what is there to complain about? It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Mary. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, I'm one of those people that like I never had issues with the motion controls. I don't know if like I just had my Wii connection was just better. Like, I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. I hear people had such a hard time with it.
I had a really hard time with the motion
Okay.
controls for some reason. Like, I didn't understand why it just would not, like, I would try to make it as straight as I could to get the right slash, and it was not having it. So it's like, all right.
Yeah. I remember it working pretty well for me back in the day. I didn't have any major issues, but this time that I replayed it, I did end up using strictly the pro controller, and it worked pretty good. You know, it was a game not built around it, obviously, but like Mary said, if you go in with that mindset that hey, this is specifically made just so you can use a controller, and it wasn't originally intended to be played that way, you can just sort of look past the fact that it's weird. Honestly, swinging the sword with the right stick, it's kind of fun. It's different.
Yeah.
Like, what other game are you actually aiming your sword with the right stick, like all the different directions to try and like win the fight? That's
usually
pretty
you
rare.
just button mash to like slash, and that's it.
It felt different. Like you were like flicking the stick like in all different directions because they had their shields in different ways.
Yeah, did anybody else have I know I bought one at the time, one of like the really wide sensor bars that was like, I think Nyko made one, but it was like almost like triple the size of the regular Wii sensor bar. And then you like put batteries in it. But yeah, I think that might have helped. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like because I had that I felt more comfortable.
Sound again?
What, really? We're gonna have to use the audio that Mary's recording probably for the final recording.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Unless Eric keeps our audio, even though the internet doesn't hear us. Let me just.
It's showing that I have sound on the. I'm hearing sound on YouTube.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the liar? Franco, you son of a. All right, let's just get back into it. Skyward Sword, the first of the remaster list of the best remasters. That's a pretty big statement, Mary. You're gonna probably catch some flack for that one in the
I'm
comments.
used to it. As a Skyward Sword stan, I am used to it. I can take it.
I just have a hard time believing that anyone who's my age or even a year older, I think, Mary, loves Skyward Sword as much as Mary does. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't
I love
compute.
it is my favorite. Like, for the story, for the art, for the music, like everything
How is
about
that
it.
possible? Like, what? How?
Okay, Mr. Twilight Princess isn't appreciated, but
It's
Yeah.
not. It's so much better than Skyward Sword. But
Got
Mary's always
him.
talking about
it's
Skyward Sword.
very good. But I just adore like the hell out of Skyward Sword so much. It's so good. And like
I do-
Girahim is one of like the best villains. Like, I know, like, obviously Ganondorf is like can't be touched, but like Girahim is like he's evil, you know.
He's got the tongue.
Yeah, the tongue that all the ladies love. All right, let's move on to the next.
Whoa.
Well,
Or Greg. Greg loves it, I'm sure. Anyway,
Hey,
Greg, what is your
Brett.
favorite? What do you think is the best remake or remaster? Give it to us.
Mary took mine. Just
No,
kidding.
she did not. If Brett was here, he'd be like, The Last of Us Part 1.
It might-
yeah, right.
I might have some recency bias, but I guess rant incoming for
Where's the bell?
continuity, but no, for you. But I would say even before it came out and before I even decided that I wanted to review it, I was very much looking forward to the Resident Evil 2 remake. Only
Mm.
because I played the Resident Evil 0 remake, the HD remake pack, and I don't think I played any like the upper
Was that like a mod?
Resident Evil 4. There was a Resident Evil like double pack. I forget what it included. I own it, but it was just like a HD upres of Resident Evil 0 that released on PC. But I was like, even when I played that, I was like, man, I really wish there was more to this remaster or whatever you want to call it, other than just like HD graphics. And I was playing it with decent computer hardware at the time. But I think the one thing that I really was intrigued about is that I have watched games evolve over the years. I bought Resident Evil. I had my grandma buy it back in the day. I tricked her because she was like, Mira, this isn't a bad game, is it? And I was like, no, grandma, it's totally fine. It's not even
It's about
violent.
puppies.
Yeah, it's about puppies. There is dogs in it. But that easily I had to have been like 14 or something, but that easily became, I was younger, whatever. Easily became one of my favorite games of all time to play was Resident Evil 2. Played it front and back, like I said before, I think on the last show that I ran through it multiple times. And then when the Resident Evil 2 remake was teed up, I remember that they were adding elements to it that was going to kind of change the map layout, something with differences with items, different ways to view the police station, a little bit more backstory for some of the NPCs. And I think that kind of made it, it took something that was, loved at the time as like a franchise and still loved and often reflected on and remembered, for the gameplay, for the story and everything like that. And it modernized it. And, just seeing it on the RE engine was like, it's like one of those games that you think about and you're like, oh yeah, I remember this game had the most amazing graphics. And then you look back and you're like, the graphics are, a bunch of painted polygons and it looks awful. But, in your head, your imagination filled the rest of those gaps. And I think for, at least for a new generation of Resident Evil fans, I think it did a really good job of bringing, a franchise from that long ago into the modern era and offered, similar puzzles, stayed mostly true to the original storyline. And I feel like, seeing the RE engine and what it can do now is just a testament to, and kind of my thoughts moving forward on the rest of the remakes to come, just like solidified, like, okay, this is the right move for Capcom. This is the right move for the franchise. I don't hate that they're, revisiting these stories, because, it's just, it gives a more fleshed out feel to a story that I loved and loved it even more.
Nice. Very elegantly put. But you're wrong, because they recasted Matthew Mercer, and I'll never forgive them. So he wanted to be in the game. They're just like, we don't want to pay for him, so let's just get someone cheaper, and then let's put him in Resident Evil 4 with his no personality as the most iconic version of that character. Okay, I won't go down that road. But yeah, I actually really like this remake. Obviously, I have gripes about the characters themselves, but I thought that Ada was done really well. Even though she was recast, I thought that her new actress did really well with her mystique and just like everything about her. How she's just so, you just don't know what to expect from Ada. Is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Do you love her? Do you hate her? And yeah, I just thought that the whole structure of this game was really well done, considering it all mostly takes place in like a few environments. Like the backtracking was really good, the pacing was really solid, and yeah, it's just, I honestly think this is definitely one of the games that probably should be on this list.
I gave it when I originally reviewed it, a 9 out of 10. That's on
Nice.
Metacritic as well.
Do you have any like regret about that 9? Is it more like a 8 or a 10 to you?
I don't think so. I can't remember how many times I played through it, but I feel like I feel like there has been very few times where I look back on a game, I'm like, man, I should have gave that a higher score or a lower score.
I got a lot of those.
I wrestled with this one when I played it and reviewed it, and I was like, no, this is a very solid 9, and I still feel, I mean, to me, a 9 is very high. It's held to high esteem, and it has to be, practically spotless to be a 10.
Yeah, I would consider a 9 like amazing. That's what I always considered it in my head. But obviously a 9 has a different definition for everybody. And I think numbers are stupid anyway. They should just listen to long form podcasts like this instead, right, guys?
Yeah,
Right?
that's reasonable.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
My favorite thing about that game is just that you're not beholden to using the film to save your game, because I hate that.
oh
I
yeah,
hate limited saves. That's
It
why
is
I
cool
never
that
got
you
that
still
far in
save.
the original.
it's cool that you still save at a typewriter. It's just nice that
Yeah.
you don't have limited
Yeah.
saves.
You
Yeah.
do on like the hard mode, right? It's introduced
think
back in
so.
the hard mode.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'll never find out about that.
Me
No.
either. Yeah, this is one of the, I think it was in my top 5 games I played last year. Like it's
Hell
Awesome.
yeah.
it's gorgeous. I love it.
Yeah,
And then
the RE
with-
engine.
Then with the RE3 remake, I stopped that not long after encountering Nemesis for the first time. I was just like, I can't do this. Like,
You didn't like it?
I can't have him chasing me like this.
I've never stressed out so bad in a video game. Actually,
Honestly,
I have, but
the
I can't remember what I gave this score on that one.
the AI for Nemesis
Ooh.
in the 3 remake isn't really like the AI for what's his name in RE2 is more like how Nemesis was in the original RE3. It's like all the Nemesis stuff in RE3 remake is very scripted. Like you don't really ever encounter him randomly. There's always like little
Yeah.
spots that he pops
Yeah.
up, which I thought was kind of lame, but that game was short and sweet, so I guess that's how they had to do it.
I mean, I even though like a lot of it was scripted, there were still moments where I was like, fuck, I got to do the save point again. I was like, okay, what's my game plan? Okay, I can get the collectible now. Okay, if I just go here, I'm
Oh.
like, okay, if I can make it up this alleyway, and I'm like, fuck, I got to do this over again.
I realized I missed a pickup like somewhere after running. I was like, am I like, am I gonna regret like not picking up whatever was in that room? And I was like, no, I'm just immediately shut it out. I was like, not worth it. I'm not reloading. I do not care what is in that room.
That's the
I'm
spirit.
done.
Yeah.
And I'm moving on.
Move along.
The
Yes.
main thing one of the main things I disliked about these 2 remakes was the gun upgrades and gun progression. Mainly of this one. This one was worse. Like all the upgrades you found were in like safes that you had to find keys for throughout the police station. I did not like that. I just want Resident Evil 4 again every single time. Just Give me guns to keep in my arsenal and just let me upgrade them at some type of merchant of some sort, like how RE8 did. That's so much better than like these weird upgrade systems. But yeah, John, you are next up. What is your favorite remake or remaster?
So I don't know if I actually have well, okay, actually maybe I do, but it's too late. I'm gonna just stick with the thing I had before. I'm giving a cop-out answer. I'm gonna go with Live Alive on Nintendo
Ooh,
Switch.
brand new.
So yeah, so I figured this works on multiple levels. Like one being just the fact that it exists means that like English speaking people get to actually play the thing.
Yeah.
Because most people never got to play it the first time. But
Mary, didn't you play this? Did you play this game?
I played through some of the stories. I haven't played through all of them. But yeah,
okay.
I've played it.
yeah. So but I'm one of the few that played the fan translation, so I can still like call it a remaster because I do actually have knowledge of the thing that came before.
Yeah.
And like I mean, I think we might have even shown the visual comparison on here once before. Like the original Live Alive, those graphics, the overworld graphics, if you're just walking, it looked kind of like Final Fantasy IV, which is from like 1991. So like this is a dramatic upgrade. And perhaps the most exciting thing is actually all the things that they didn't change. Like a lot of the story stuff is like mostly the same. And it's really cool that they weren't afraid to like, this was a Super Nintendo game. We got to juice it up. We got to change things and we got to censor that really weird caveman part. But they didn't do any of that.
Nope.
Like
That's good.
they just let the thing breathe and were like, yep, this was a Super Nintendo game and here's everything the same way. And it's refreshing like how well it works. Like it works really well. Like you're not getting some crazy super meaty experience, but you're getting a fun experience, which makes all the difference. So I appreciate Square for putting this thing out there, making it a lot prettier. They definitely rebalanced the thing and like majorly. You'd be kind of shocked if you went back and played the original because the combat will feel different, suffice to say. But
Yeah.
it's just really smart changes. Everything's prettier. They remastered it, but it feels like the original thing and it works really well. So I appreciate that. And special shout out to Persona 4 Golden for basically similar reasons.
There we go.
It's not necessarily some amazing remaster and I didn't play the
Marie,
original.
don't forget about Marie.
Yeah, it just happens to be one of the greatest games ever made. So,
Yeah.
Shout out to it for that reason.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because my golden rule is don't recast characters, but I played Golden first, so hearing Chie
We only
from
know
the original,
Chie that way, yeah.
I'm like, who the hell is this character? What are they thinking?
Yeah. No wonder why they replaced her.
Yeah, not to be mean to the original, but
I've
I'm
never
so
even
used
heard
to
her. Yeah, I've
She
no
sounds
idea.
fine, but the personality of Chie and Golden is just so infectious and
Yeah.
awesome.
And what's funny is I hear people say like the exact opposite if they played the original first, and they're like,
Exactly,
"Oh,
I
this
hear the
person
same.
doesn't fit at all."
Yeah, that's how it works. That's definitely a good shout out. I was actually gonna say that one too. So awesome.
Oh, really? Okay, go for it.
Could never forget Golden. But yeah, I didn't want to say it because like I played that one first. Like it
Yeah.
didn't feel like a remaster to
Right,
me. It just
right.
felt like the game.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you had to say about Golden or I already forgot your other one, Live Alive?
Live Alive. I was pretty to the point with Live Alive and Persona 4 Golden. Again, it just happens to be one of the best games ever made.
Definitely. Speaking of that, actually, we're gonna talk about that later when we get into the news. So
Right.
yeah. So we'll move on along to my game, which is Mass Effect 1, recently put in the Legendary Collection of the Mass Effect trilogy. It was such a good remaster. Like when I say that Mass Effect 1 was terribly running, it like when you played it on an original PS3 or even 360, but especially PS3, I've already talked about it before. It was terrible. The worst Mass Effect. I mean, the worst game that I've played on a PS3. Like the performance was out of this world insane. So when I saw they were remastering it, I was like, the graphics have obviously aged worse than the others because Mass Effect 1 was way more ambitious with its open world elements. It did entire planets that you're driving around in, and a lot of those environments were very ugly and barren. And I was like, are they really going to go in and enhance all those? And god damn it, they did. They went in and they made those planets look good. They finally made the driving, what's it called, Mary? What's that thing called?
The Mako.
Yeah, the Mako or whatever. They made it feel like much better. They added like a double jump or a boost or something that made it better as well. And just exploring those worlds was awesome. Like the lighting, the way the sun's beaming on the planets. I felt like every single planet had way more personality to it compared to the original game. And along with that, just all the gameplay improvements, all the mechanics were fixed. It was the most janky cover-based shooting ever. I mean, it was like 2006, so I give it's okay, but it felt really hard to play in nowadays. So the fact that they went in and enhanced all that, like it felt so much better. And the character models were all enhanced. They grabbed the character models from like Mass Effect 2 or 3, I think, and just put them in the game. But still, like it was such an amazing experience playing through that game again and just re-experiencing it, but with like a fresh coat of paint. And it almost makes me think that like this is almost what I prefer over the Resident Evil 4 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake stuff, where it's like some games I love so much that I just want like just a fresh coat of paint and quality of life changes. No big retooling of gameplay, of story, of characters. For as far as I'm concerned, they could literally keep all the same audio of the Resident Evil 4 remake. Keep it all the same audio, all the same gameplay, basically, just add like a sidestep. And I'd be perfectly happy with just a graphical makeover. But this is basically that Mass Effect 1. It's just let's make the game look better, let's make it feel better, let's make it just feel more modern. And I thought they did a heck of a job. It's such a good game. Probably my favorite. It's hard to say. Never mind. I always go back and forth. Like which one's my favorite? Mass Effect 1 was literally like when you play that game, it's similar to Super Mario Brothers 1, where in the first 30 seconds they teach you everything about the game and how to play it, how it works. In Mass Effect 1, they set up these characters in this universe so well that you immediately are just you're down for multiple games after that. Like you just want to keep playing and being a part of this world. So I just have to shout out with the way they set everything up with those characters and the story and Shepard, and amazing game. Definitely recommend it. Mary, I'm sure you have thoughts on this.
Oh yeah, like I mean, the Mass Effect trilogy is like it's very near and dear to my heart, but like actually seeing like the HD remaster of 1, I was like, I feel like Greg was saying how like your brain just kind of fills in the gaps. It's like I know the game did not look like this on my Xbox 360, but this is how I remember playing it, you know. And again, like I said earlier, Skyward Sword 2, like so many people just never got around to this trilogy, never got around to playing any of the Mass Effect series. And if you're into like those kind of like choice-based storytelling where like the decisions you make do affect things that happen in the game, like I tell people like you have to play this because something you did in Mass Effect 1 is going to be brought up in Mass Effect 3. Like that decision is going to carry all the way through. You know?
And no other series did it like Mass Effect before or after. Like we only like Dragon Age does it as well, but not to the extent of Mass Effect where characters die and then you don't have them in future games and all that stuff. Like it's insane the ambition of this game in 2006. Like that is like what? Like it's just wild that they did it. They completed the trilogy and it was amazing.
Yeah, and it kind of
then they did that color ending.
The what?
Oh my gosh.
The color ending.
The pick a color ending. Yeah.
Red, blue, green, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The ending, I don't hate it as much as other people.
The Citadel DLC kind of like eased the tension from the ending because the Citadel DLC is probably one of the best DLCs like I've ever played. It's silly at this like you know.
I never went back. Like I just when I finished it, that was it.
it's like it's worth playing in my opinion. Like it does have its own like little story, but like you get to see the characters in like very different settings with a whole different like weird sense of humor that like you never get much from them, but you always kind of had a feeling was there. So it's a really fun way to see like different sides to like your companions and to Shepard.
That's cool.
And then with like the trilogy remake, it gives me hope that maybe one day they'll remake Dragon Age Origins in the same way because
seems totally necessary.
Yeah, Dragon Age Origins is the same console generation, has aged just as poorly, but it's still like
rough.
It's so good to play though.
It's
Like
spectacular.
it's so good.
I think it was last year that I played Origins for the first time ever.
Oh man,
And
that's
it was
another
so
game
good.
that I consider like one of the greats.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
ever.
that's awesome. I didn't even know that about you, John.
Yeah, no, that's another one of my favorite video games, Dragon Age Origins.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just remember I didn't spend enough time or do a mission or something for one of my people, and they frickin' betrayed me. And I'm like, are you serious?
Oh,
We just went
really?
on this giant adventure. We just did all this
Mhm.
together, and you're just gonna just throw me out like I'm garbage? My heart was broken.
Oh, but yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was
Everyone's
super
experience-
awesome. Like that's the type of stuff. Like for, like 1 second you're like in my adventure with me for 30 hours, then all of a sudden I'm fighting you to the death. Like that's Dragon Age right there.
Yep.
But yeah,
Nice.
that's a game that I agreed should get some type of fresh coat of paint. I believe it. Yeah, it has 60 frames per second and 4K on Xbox, but it's like the textures are so blurry, and it's like you just need like a full blown makeover. But yeah, then that's it for our best remasters. We got Skyward Sword from Mary, we got Live Alive, and technically Persona 4 from John, and we got Resident Evil 2 remake from Greg, and then Mass Effect 1, the recent remaster in the trilogy from me. And I also want to shout out Wind Waker. That's a great one as well. That's on the thumbnail. So I had to throw it out there.
I guess.
That's one of them. It's one of them games that's like, that's what I want from a remake or rematch. It's the same game, but they actually added quality of life elements. They made the boat faster. The graphics got a pretty damn big overhaul, and they modernized some of the mechanics and stuff and just made them feel better. So that's all I want from my remakes. Then there's like the other ones that are full-blown remakes, like Resident Evil 2 remake. But then there's the ones like Last of Us Part 1, where it's like, it's just the graphics. Yes, they tweaked the AI. I played the whole game. I didn't sense any of that. All that stuff they were talking about, didn't feel any of that. They literally only changed the graphics, which is fine. But it's like, that's not really. If you're gonna do something, at least tweak like something. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's actually fine. It's fine. It's not awful. Last of Us
Tweak something.
Part 1.
Brett Medlock.
It's okay that it exists. But let's talk briefly about how you guys feel about them remaking Horizon Zero Dawn 5 years later. Like, is that pointless? Do you think they're just
Ridiculous.
Yes.
squeezing their
God.
masterpieces dry as much as they can before they move on? Or
Yeah, basically that. Yeah.
do you think they'll sell it for 70 without
Yeah.
any
Probably.
upgrade
That sounds
path?
about right.
Yeah. Checks
That'd
out.
be
Why, I
crazy.
don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, why can't like what mechanically can you really do to it to make it better? Like,
Exactly.
why can't you issue HD packs or HD like massive texture packs, or even make them like $4.99, $10.99? You know, something like this. People already bought the game once. Like,
Well,
I don't
all of-
understand.
all of the defenders online, a lot of people will be like, well, they add all these accessibility options. I was trying to think of the word. And it's like, yeah, they could do that in a patch. They don't have to sell the game for
Yeah.
$70 to add
Yeah.
accessibility options.
Yeah,
like
and you
that,
shouldn't charge people for accessibility options.
exactly.
Unless
I would be-
unless it's like something massively mechanically broken with the game where they have to remake it in order to bring accessibility into it, then they need to acknowledge that and say that flat out instead of Mary, you're exactly right. Like, why are you paying to have your game be more accessible to somebody who couldn't access it in the first place?
Yeah.
And the thing is I don't hate it as much as a lot of people. Like, if they're gonna remake it, if they're gonna upgrade the character models, the textures, all that stuff, just add an upgrade path. Make people who already bought the game for $60 or however much, just have them pay $10 or $20. Don't just be like, oh, you bought that game for $60? Well, here it is again for 70. Like, it just seems a little wrong. I don't like this mindset of Sony. I really like, I know I'm always talking about Xbox and their player.
Wait, can you say that again?
Their
I just
player
like hearing it.
focused moves. But like Xbox, they enhance their games. They don't re-release them. Like, they enhanced Gears of War 5 when it came to Series X. It just looks a lot better, and you don't pay anything extra for it. Like that, and that's how all their games are. They're not selling upgrades. It's not even an option to have an upgrade path. For them, it's just like the game's gonna look better on your new hardware. And it's not, we're going to remake it. We're going to add new character models and textures or anything. They're just like, no, we're just going to move on and just keep those games looking as best as they can, utilizing this hardware to give you the higher frame rates and the better resolution. Like, that's all it takes sometimes. But Sony's just obsession with these remakes, it's getting out of hand a little. And it's like, Horizon, it's still better looking than so many games.
Yeah.
Rarely any, like, what games, like modern games, even the last Assassin's Creed doesn't look as good as Horizon. That game is breathtaking. Like, why would this game, out of all games, need a remake? Look at Bloodborne running at 720p, 25 frames per second. Go do that instead. I don't know if it's 720p. It's probably 1080, but still.
Honestly, like I just don't follow the logic.
Well, the logic is they think they're going to make money, so they're doing
it's a cash
Well,
grab.
here's actually the logic.
But like
It's,
spending the resources to do it, like
I'm assuming. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm assuming in terms of resources, they're thinking it's not that much work because the game's built, the story's done, the audio's done, the characters, the VO, everything's done. But we can make these look better, so that doesn't take a lot of resources and money. But the payoff probably will be. It'll probably pay off greatly. At least I think. The Last of Us Part 1, it seemed like it hit kind of quietly. So this was obviously already in the works. I'm assuming it's real before The Last of Us Part 1 came out. So maybe after Horizon, this remake, they're going to be like, okay, let's just slow the brakes a little on all these remasters, and let's just focus on the new because it's not really paying off for us anymore.
Yeah, but how many people like do you think, the development crew that's going to be on it? Like, how many people deep do you think that's going to be? Even if it was like, 100 people, it's still 100 people's salaries working.
It's a lot of money.
Assuming 40 hours a week, probably more for, overtime or any sort of, light crunch that they do. And that's not even including any additional marketing that they do. That's still media buys. That's still online media buys. That's still website maintenance. That's still publishing. That's still just distribution costs for the physical cart or the disc. And it's like all these things don't say, profit to me. They say waste.
That's true as well. Like, I agree 100%. And I also think Sony's just a bit obsessed with looking like the premium product. Like, they always say, we're a premium product. And it's like, look at our games. These are the best looking games on the market. And I agree, they are, but it doesn't change the fact that, like, it's just a little redundant at this point. You're remaking a 5-year-old game that still looks better than most games. Mm-hmm. Like, how do they not see that? Like, it just seems like such a waste. Like, put the team on a small like, where's Jack and Daxter? That 100 people that made the Last of Us remake, make a Jack and Daxter for those people who want that game. I don't know. Just anything better than just retreading. What?
It's really confusing to me too, because it didn't release on PC not that much long ago, but at the same time, the Sackboy game is coming to PC, and it ran at a variable refresh rate on PS5. It ran at 4K, relatively 60 FPS, but then the PC requirements for the game are almost double what the PS5 output is. And it's
like a poorly optimized PC port.
No, the demand for it is so that it can run at 4K 120 FPS at a stable with variable refresh rate options. But I just don't understand why, like, what the obsession is with these games looking better, going into remaster or something, when technically, graphically, it does look better on PCs, but you still, like, I mean, we're even struggling to buy the last gen 3000 cards of hardware, and like PS5s are barely out in the wild. And again, it just screams to me like this is just a fucking waste. And what an odd obsession, at the sacrifice of your customers, giving them something new to play on an already like our software barren library. Like, I don't understand. It's like almost frustrating to me. And I don't even own a PS5. And it's like, this seems like a waste.
Yeah.
And let's keep in mind that the PS5 version of The Witcher 3 is supposed to release this year, and it's going to be a free upgrade. This is a massive open world AAA game with beautiful graphics being re-released on a new generation of hardware
I
for
feel like it's
free to the
totally
existing
normal,
owners.
except with Sony.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
I
there you
mean,
go.
they do go the extra mile. Like, obviously, Last of Us Part One looks significantly better than the original, but still, like Horizon, I just don't. If Horizon, if this new game isn't just like a simple like replace the character models, higher frame rate, and if it's like a full blown, let's go in, change all the environments, and that's just like what a waste. Like, why? Like, what
Right.
a waste of resources. Like, I mean, and I don't mean a waste for Sony, because I'm sure they might profit off of this. I mean just a waste as a PlayStation fan, like what I want them to be doing. Like, it seems like just a waste of time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, we can move on to the actual Nintendo news on this Nintendo
Wow.
podcast. Guys, Mario got a trailer. We finally heard Chris Pratt as Mario. Man, what'd you guys think? I guess we'll just start with Mary. How was what was your first reaction?
First reaction, the animation's beautiful. The art, like, it's visually, it's gorgeous, it's perfect. It's the quality I expected from, Nintendo when it comes to like making an animated movie for a brand, especially as huge as Mario is to them. Jack Black as Bowser stole the show for me though. Like, and I saw so many people online, like, how did they get like his expressions to be so like Jack Blacky,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, they had to put him in a mocap because like you can tell like that's a very Jack Black expression that he does. Then the Mario voice.
We were joking about it just being Chris Pratt's normal voice, remember? And it basically is like,
yeah,
with a
Slight
subtle
New York
accent.
I'm
Yeah.
very underwhelmed. It's about what I expect. I'm trying to not be so like critical, but I think I mentioned it before we were talking about like what do we think it's gonna sound like I'm not a fan of big name Hollywood actors being shoved into voice acting roles, even like Jack Black. I'm like, could there have been someone that was in the voice acting community, that could have done a different portrayal than Jack Black did? Not that Jack Black is bad, not that Chris Pratt is bad.
In some way, like, at least he has like a gaming YouTube channel and stuff. Like, he's in gaming stuff. He's made games.
Yeah, and at least Jack Black has a little bit more of a range than what Chris Pratt does. I think Chris Pratt's voice works well for certain roles. I just think they hugely miscast Mario based on what we've heard so far.
Based on what we've heard, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'll toss it to John first, and we'll get back to me. John, what'd you think?
I thought it ruled. Like, I was pretty happy with it. Like, I appreciated the whole structure of the trailer. So like,
yeah,
it's
like
starting with Bowser. Yeah, like it starts with Bowser attacking a kingdom that we weren't expecting to see at all. The penguin people.
Yeah.
They're adorable, and like it's like great comedy to start with, for like it looks like it's a fierce attack, but they're just chucking snowballs and expecting them to like lay down and die.
I did like how the one big snowball actually did knock over one of the one of Bowser's.
It was an ice cube, I think. Yeah, like they like, and he gets like, yeah, I thought that was hilarious too. There's just one sucker that's like just like creamed. So
one guy.
So I wasn't expecting it to just like start with all that. So right away it's like establishing like this large scope that like there's like one or more vast worlds, so like it's kind of like, even though we're just talking about a teaser trailer, it kind of already feels like it's setting up sequels, like it's already this promise of like we can go anywhere, we can see anything with these characters, right? So I thought that was all really cool. Like Mary said, like the animation across the board, like it's beautiful. Like the faces, like I mean, like the way they emote is awesome. Like the actual visuals themselves are spectacular. Like it's like, yeah, I don't watch a lot of animated movies anymore, so like I kind of didn't know, or I kind of forgot that movies can like look that good in animation. I'm used to like seeing them in like video games mostly, so that was a pleasant surprise. And yeah, like I think most of the voices are fine. Like with Chris Pratt, he's has like 2 lines. I really feel like it's just too early to have an opinion on this guy, even though everybody on Earth does apparently.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
everybody hates him.
but so I mean, like for now, I'm just giving him a pass. Like I got to hear more of him. And like I
Yeah.
mean, even if he really does sound like Chris Pratt all the time, like I think I'm gonna get over it. Like
I
I'm just
mean,
happy
he's
this
obviously
exists.
his character is obviously like how Greg or someone said. He's obviously transported into Mushroom Kingdom. He's
Yeah,
not
definitely.
from like he's confused. My hope is that when he gets into like town like Mushroom Kingdom, they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's Mario!" And they're gonna be, and he's gonna be like, "What? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what do you mean?" And then slowly throughout the movie, his voice will start to become more Mario-like because he like starts becoming Mario in their universe or whatever. So like, it starts off very Chris Pratty, but then by the end, he's actually like, "It's me, Mario." You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I think
So
that'd be
the-
fun.
I could be
Some
open
high
to that
hopes.
possibility. I
Yeah.
can see
So,
that maybe happening.
The Mushroom Kingdom makes him
uh,
more Italian.
Eric just said in the chat, kind of like how Robotnik changes in the movies, like slowly into the like Eggman. So
Yeah, more
that'd be-
evil. Evil.
gets balls, his mustache gets bigger. It's like a slow transition.
But yeah,
but-
speaking of that though, it's cool how like they save Luigi for like that random thing out of nowhere at the end.
yeah,
That's a great introduction. And like I hadn't thought of it at first, but then I saw it pointed out in like a funny, cute comic how like it looks like Mario's gonna go on this big bright adventure and like Luigi's just in like goddamn
darkness.
hell.
Yeah,
Like, being
he
chased
hates
by
everything.
Poor
Too.
skeletons.
Luigi.
Just
He's so
terrified
scared.
for
Oh,
his
no.
life.
Mhm.
So that's great. If the whole movie's like that, that would be hilarious. It's just Luigi's
Lu-
endless nightmare.
Oh,
Yeah,
poor boy.
But even if that sends up a Luigi's Mansion movie, like how great.
Oh yeah, that
yeah,
would be
Yeah.
awesome.
awesome.
Oh
Luigi's
man.
Mansion movie would be incredible, or like
Yeah.
a TV show or something.
Yeah, like a mini series or something. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
that'd be cool. I'd watch
Yeah.
that.
I would
Yeah.
watch that because his emotes are really funny. I do wish. I mean, I feel like his Charles Martinet, right? That's his name. Yeah.
Martin.
I feel like he should have played Luigi because he sounds really good as him in the game. Like it's not as annoying as Mario. Like as much as I love Mario's voice, his voice for an hour and a half would probably get a little old. But his Luigi voice, it's so like it's so much more calm and scared sounding. Where it's like I think it would have worked in the movie as him as Luigi. But Charlie Day is really awesome. So at least I got someone good playing him.
Yeah, that's kind of an inspired choice, I felt like. Charlie Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Greg, we didn't really hear your full thoughts yet. What do you think?
Man, so I remember seeing, the original Super Mario Brothers movie in the theater and just realizing like, how much of a letdown it was. Like even then, I wanted to see, these characters like come to life on the big screen. And I think this like from beginning to end of this trailer, even despite, Chris Pratt, whatever he sounds like, I felt like it was like, I was like, finally, I felt like it like tickled my childhood and, like made that spark, that's still alive in me and enjoy these like animated movies. Like it genuinely like made me feel like finally, this is like the treatment that we wanted. And the scope, and everybody said that around the room, the scope of this seems so massive, this world and the comedy right from the beginning. So like I am an adult, I don't care that I like animated movies, but like Big Hero 6, the Sonic movies, both of them, the I Am Groot animated series that they have on Disney Plus, Emperor's New Groove, How to Train Your Dragon, Wreck-It Ralph, those are all like hit a special level of comedy with me that like I just find so like cute, funny, witty, smart, and I feel like this is kind of in that same vein, and I love it for everything that it kind of tees up for what to expect for the movie. I swear to God, the moment we see any more Mario lore, in the movie, I'm gonna cry. I'm probably gonna cry in the theater. If we see Tanuki Sue Mario, I'm gonna cry because like I don't know. It's just something about Mario that I've always like wanted to see play out on the big screen that we've never really gotten. And I feel like, you know, there's so many, like, we've only seen so much, you know, a minuscule amount of Mario lore and in the trailer, and it was already jam packed with a bunch of stuff. And I've watched it a couple times and want to go watch it again just because I feel like I've you know missed, you know, things I didn't see the first time. But I don't know. I'm just really looking forward to it. And you know, I hope you're right that Chris Pratt does become, you know, even more Mario, or they've been missing Mario, or Mario is missing. I mean, that's something that I initially looked at too, is like there's so many, there's so much Mario history and games and shows and even to the modern games, like that they do callbacks to the originals. And I feel like it's going to be just like a you know, a parade of Mario nostalgia, and you know, I'm 100% here for it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we also should keep in mind that obviously it would have probably been more special if all the same voice actors were playing these characters, but this is a Hollywood movie, so they pretty much not forced, but like it's gonna make way more money because people go to see these actors. Like the Uncharted movie with a no name and a no name wouldn't have done anything. Like no one would have cared. But it had Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, so a bunch of people went to go see it, even if they didn't even know what Uncharted was.
This is an
So I
disagree.
animated movie, though.
Yeah, but
Like,
I know that, but I think a lot of the marketing is going to show them like on screen. Like I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I wouldn't doubt it if we see like those like in the booth sessions during the trailer, like while they're showing it off.
I would love to see Jack Black like in the booth.
In the booth, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's hard because he just embraced the character. Like I feel like he
Yeah.
did that additional Comic-Con near
Yeah, I was gonna
Comic-Con
ask,
voices.
did y'all see that?
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
I was like, how sick of him. Like that's so dope. He like wants to he like recognizes, you know, the you know the fandom and how much people, you know, are looking forward to this movie and just embrace it, I feel like.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, is there something they could have done with Chris Pratt to like have painted him in that better light? I mean, obviously there's a ton of like PR people behind this as well. And like I know people are like getting onto Chris Pratt for like how he was talking like in the video.
like,
There's like these weird
You don't
pauses.
stomp Koopas in
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah, there's like these
No,
weird
no,
pauses.
you
so-
stomp Koopas like that.
Yeah, like there's weird pauses, there was weird phrasing, and of course I'm sitting there, I'm like, I get my words, you know, mixed up even whenever like I have a script in front of me, so I can't be too harsh on him, but I'm still kind of like, what PR person was like, yeah, this is
That was like take number one. It felt
yeah,
like
I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
what
Come
on.
PR person was like,
That
this
was
is the take, this
Only
is it.
take. Yes.
yeah, like come
Well-
on, you couldn't have done like a few more.
Yeah.
A dude I follow on Twitter, Cheesemeister. He lives in Japan, and he'll just translate like random interesting game centric things for the sake of regular people like you and I hearing
That's
about
cool.
it. And he noted that it's like a common practice in Japan where if you're a dude promoting a movie, it's just normal for you to like talk directly into a camera as like part of the PR campaign for the
Hmm.
movie. So this could actually be like a
Oh.
carryover from like the Japanese style of
Okay.
promoting movies.
Okay.
Like if that happens to be the case, then that is a valuable piece of context of like why this happened at all. It doesn't
Yeah.
explain why it's not better, but it explains why it exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely take number one. They're just like,
Yeah. Or like,
Chris
why
Pratt,
wasn't he?
you don't technically stomp Koopas in that game. You kick them. So
Yeah.
Look, he was
Kick.
contractually obligated to do one video, and that's what he sent him.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
like,
but,
why
like,
wasn't he at the thing with Jack Black? Why couldn't they have done the Comic-Con panel together? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
or like at least it just seems like the way he was talking seems like he hasn't played Mario since then. Like that's the
Yeah.
only time he played Mario in his life, and he said it was a lifelong dream. So you couldn't have mentioned like Mario Sunshine or Odyssey or anything else. You had to mention the original Mario Bros in the arcade. Like, come on, just a little more, Chris.
Oh, he's too hardcore for that. He doesn't have time to be talking about Sunshine. He's OG.
Yeah, he's OG.
That's like when, people are like, yeah, I've been a gamer, I've always loved, Pac-Man, and then they like stop there.
Space Invaders. Yeah.
Yeah, Centipede.
Man.
But I mentioned this to you guys before, and like I just want to bring it up because I feel like that's kind of the void left by Reggie when Reggie left Nintendo.
Mm.
We missed out on this relatable person at Nintendo that was not afraid to be in front of the camera, that communicated both with Nintendo of Japan and Nintendo of America, kind of bridge that that relationship, that gap, that from things coming from Japan to America and all that. But also, like, it sucks because like Reggie spoke the lingo. Reggie was the guy. Reggie, I mean, he may not have been a hardcore gamer, but you could tell he was like a nerdy, relatable, smart person that did well at marketing. Whereas like we haven't heard all but shit from Doug Bowser.
Mhm.
And not only that, I mentioned this, on a tweet I saw from him that was like, yeah, look at the whole family playing Nintendo. Look at them playing Nintendo. And it's like, dude, you couldn't say a fucking Switch. Like that's your
Nintendo.
hottest selling. That's your hottest selling console.
What's
on
that
the
thing
market
called
right
again?
now. And you said Nintendo. Like, what other console would they be playing other than a Switch? Like, what, did they have their Game Boy Advance SPs out here and they're all vibing with Nintendo? But that just like reflected kind of what this like this, I don't know, this like misstep in marketing that I've seen from Nintendo lately, not only with the Mario movie and maybe the Chris Pratt thing, but also like on their their Facebook, how they have handled some of their previous marketing materials. And like, I don't know if it's the agency that they chose or whatever, but I feel like they could be at least doing a little bit better job of handling the Nintendo brand out there in the public. But that's just the me.
I forgot all about Doug Bowser. He's like never even around.
Yeah, he just seems like a lame dad.
So apparently Nintendo is just like, it's like consciously decided to just pull back on showcasing like actual personalities, and they just want to keep the focus on the games themselves.
Come
And
on, why?
This is like, I think it's one of those edicts that's handed down by Nintendo in Japan, but like, yeah, I don't really get the business logic of it all either, because like obviously things were way more fun when we were seeing Reggie, when we were seeing Iwata, when we were seeing Sakurai, and
Yes, it's so much better.
right now we
I-
get to occasionally see the Zelda guy.
Yeah, I don't know my.
No. And there's Koizumi. Yeah.
I feel like Sony's really dropping the ball with Jim Lion crying dance moves Ryan. He's never around. Like he's never really around, and when he is, he just comes off like a big doofus. Like, and there's that picture of him. There's a picture of Jim Lion crying dance move Ryan holding a controller. And he's like this at the camera, and it just looks like a guy who's never held a controller in his life. The way he's holding it, it's like, dude, you picked that up. I'm surprised you're not holding it upside down. Like you've never played a video
like
game
the old
ever.
stock photos where like the teenage kid like
Exactly. I'm just like, what are you doing, man? This dude's goofy.
Like I said, like that makes me appreciate even more that whole Miyamoto, Sakurai, Reggie, Iwata, that whole collaborative team. And yeah, they're Miyamoto's getting up there in age, and I'm sure he's doesn't want to dedicate all of his time and efforts into his job, but that makes me appreciate that time that we had that even more. Just like we had people from making business decisions about the company, being able to relate to the audience and communicate these things and express some of the passion behind the content that consumers were going to end up buying at some point. And to the point now where we don't even see any of that, and it's just like, take your shit and enjoy these games and don't ever talk to me, and families playing Nintendo.
Nintendo.
Yep.
It's like when your mom just called everything Nintendo, no matter what it was. like, even if
Yeah,
you were
that's
playing
exactly
PlayStation.
what I thought about.
Yep.
God, it pisses me off, and I don't know why.
What makes you mad?
Sock him right in his Doug Bowser.
And with a last name like Bowser, I feel like I expected so much more out of him.
Yeah.
Come on. Like,
Now
put
his
on a
last
Bowser
name's all he's got
costume, for
going
God's
for him.
sake.
They did like the one bit, like, was it E3? Was it his first E3? I think it was
think so.
2019 was his first one. And like they had actual Bowser on the screen, like ready to
Yeah.
give the presentation. And like he's like,
Yeah, that's
no,
cute.
I'm
Yeah, that
I'm
was
the
good.
Bowser they want. And I was like, what happened to that?
That was
Yeah,
good.
All the one little bit, and then that was it.
Maybe
right.
that one scene took them like hours to shoot because he's just not a good performer. I don't know.
Potentially.
he just seems like a angry person or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
my thoughts on him would change if he just said
Get
a
on a
few
camera.
words. Yeah, like that's all you have to do, and I won't think you're a fucking asshole or something. I don't know.
I mean, you
God,
gotta
I'd
keep in
hate
mind.
You're just losing sleep over to this.
Well, we gotta remember though, the person we haven't talked about whatsoever, Nintendo's president. We never see him. He never talks. We
yeah.
know
True.
nothing about this dude. Like, if
What's
he's
his name?
ever, oh geez, I'm spacing out on his name right now
Because he took
we
over,
never see
right? That
him
was only
again.
like 3 years ago, right? 2 years ago.
I forget. Yeah, it was.
He took
around
over for
3 years ago.
Furukawa.
Okay, no, that is the president, Shuntaro Furukawa.
Uh,
There was in the interim after Iwata died, I think Kimishima, I think, was the interim dude. Because they had like that process for a while where there was like, I think there was like 3 people, like it was like Miyamoto and a couple other guys just kind of holding the fort down. Then Kimishima in the interim, and now finally Furukawa, who we
Yeah.
know nothing about. He gives like his little answers during like the stockholder, the shareholder meetings, and like that's the most we've ever heard this dude speak.
yeah,
That's
which
funny.
was it seemed promising at first because he seemed a lot younger. I just looked at his birthday, 72, and it's like,
He was
I felt
born in
like-
72.
yeah,
Not he is 72.
no. Wait,
Wait,
I don't know how
Miyamoto's
old was somebody born
69.
in 72.
Wow, man, Miyamoto's still in the game too,
Yeah.
still helping out with games and stuff.
And as far as I know, he spends most of his time these days on like the amusement park, the movie, and maybe to a lesser extent, like Pikmin and stuff. So like, it's really just this dude's doing whatever he feels like, and he's having the time of his life.
Yeah,
Good.
Yeah, right.
it's awesome.
So yeah,
He's just probably living the dream now.
yeah.
I mean, it's just. Could you imagine being the person who created Mario and Zelda? And
No.
that'd be insane.
Like you created some of like the most beloved properties on the earth.
That'd be wild.
and,
I just wonder what he does all
Literally
day.
the most beloved video games. Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, he likes riding his bike, but he's not allowed to anymore because the company told him he's
69.
he can't be out in public because they're afraid someone's gonna like try and hurt him.
No.
Why would you hurt him?
Do that. Yeah.
Greg, remember we stood about 3 feet from Miyamoto one time, so we're pretty
Oh, I was so
cool.
close I could smell him.
Who wants to touch me?
Oh man.
He waved at me. That
Ah,
was
Really?
all I had.
man.
Yeah.
You got a wave? Oh,
I got a
jealous.
wave. I got
lucky.
acknowledgement.
Oh man, I never got to see.
I got a I got a
Dang.
wave too, but it was like this from his bodyguard. They were like, shoo.
It was like him, Al Numa, and like a bunch of other people,
Oh,
like
man.
up on the second deck of like the E3 booth, and like me and a group of people, we were standing there, like we were waiting for Link's Awakening, and I was like, "Is that Miyamoto up there?" And like we're all just kind of huddled in a group. We're like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Should we wave?" And they're like, "I think we should." So we all just kind of like started like just waving.
And they
And we
looked
got
down
their
and saw.
attention, yeah, and they just
That's great.
back at us.
Guys, I just want to say, I feel like using Zoom has been much better. Like the delay seems much shorter. You guys aren't cutting out as much, for me at least. I'm not sure. I also wanted to say, I was probably going to add this at the beginning, but I'll just add it here. We've obviously been having a lot of audio issues lately, so if you've stuck around throughout the past few episodes, thank you. They've been pretty bad, and if you're listening to this on the audio feed, I'm sorry about that. It's just we don't know what's wrong, and we've been trying to figure out what's going on with our audio. So now we're trying Zoom instead of Discord. Before that, we were using Facebook, which worked better than Discord, but Discord had better quality. So it's like I don't know what to do, but
But if
yeah,
you keep
so-
listening, we'll give you $20.
exactly. Just wait till
Out
the
of
end, and
John's
you'll
pocket.
$20, not guaranteed.
get it. Exactly. All right, guys, let's move on to the next main topic because we're running out of time a little bit. We got some news to go over, which is this one's just a short one. I did want to shout out that Nier Automata got a really good, solid port on Switch. It runs at 1080p, 30 frames per second. Digital Foundry did a big video on it explaining how it's better, how it's worse. Some of the texture quality is lost, but it does run at a higher resolution than base Xbox and PS4, so that's pretty cool. Xbox One. It runs at 1080 instead of, I think, 720 or 900 that those two did. But obviously the frame rate's cut in half at 30 frames per second, so there's some give and take. But all in all, it seems like a very good port if you want to go check out that video. Amazing game, but not quite as good as Drakengard 3. Next up.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
No one agreed with that. Monster Hunter DLC randomly is coming for free to Sonic Frontiers. Gotta hunt fast. So that's pretty cool. It looks pretty awesome, like the actual design of it on Sonic.
Yeah, I guess.
Any thoughts on this, you guys? Nothing.
I liked
really?
it.
I'm
I
trying
just
to
like
do
that they keep
a.
doing crossover stuff like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is cool to have like Capcom and Sega randomly collaborate like this. I agree with that.
Yeah, it's totally random.
Yeah.
And I like that some companies recognize that a rising tide raises all boats, and it's not always compete. Sometimes it can be work together and let's get eyes on both of our games. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess I just want to keep seeing more of that. More
Yeah.
random collaborations between people I like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like,
Stop.
wasn't there like a really funny collaboration recently with Call of Duty that like someone was making fun of? I don't remember. There's always
Godzilla
weird-ass
was in
stuff.
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Oh.
and like Attack on Titan was
Yeah.
some really terrible crossovers for
So
Call
weird,
of Duty.
though.
Yeah.
What is it?
I was just gonna say the Attack on Titan one in Call of Duty looks so weird, and even
Oh,
the
yeah,
Attack
it
on
does.
Titan and Dead by Daylight looks so funky.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't know
weird.
that was a thing.
Yeah.
Now
Isn't
let's
that
talk
weird?
about.
They're like in Call of Duty, it's weird, but if you put it in Fortnite, it'd be like, nah, it's
Yeah,
in there.
no big
cool.
deal.
Yeah, it's fine.
Who cares?
I just accept whatever Fortnite does at this point. I'm like, all right, you're
Fortnite could literally do anything, and no one would bat an eye.
Right.
All right, unless they added, like someone terrible like Jeffrey Dahmer, which I could picture them doing with all the popularity around that show lately.
no.
Insane.
Yeah, but
Our
which
society
skin would
sucks.
you wear? Hey.
What happened? I didn't hear it. I missed the joke.
I said, but which skin would you wear?
Oh, okay. Probably, I don't know. Let's go to the next thing, which is Persona 3 and 4 officially are coming to Nintendo Switch and other platforms on January 2023. No, like full on date yet, I don't think, but still.
No, there is the date.
Yeah, there's a date.
Oh, really? I
yeah,
Googled it.
it's
I
giving
didn't
me a
see-
crisis.
What is it? The 19th or
19th.
the 20th? Okay.
The
Oh,
19th.
okay. 19th, my bad.
There you
Yep.
go.
And these are GOATs games. These are great games. They are the greatest of all time.
They
Play Persona
rule.
4. Mary.
Emblem.
Goat
Fire
Simulator?
Emblem comes out the day after.
Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
man.
Fire
Really?
Emblem Engage is January 20th.
All right, looks like I'm going Fire
Man.
Emblem since it's new.
I know, but I need to play Persona 4.
You'll
Yes,
have to
you
play
do.
that one second because you know we're going to talk about Fire Emblem
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
You've waited
And-
this long.
I keep waiting.
Even though I definitely love Persona 4 Golden the most, I'm most curious to hear how people feel about Persona 3 because that game just gets so dark and miserable. Like
I
I
just-
love it and it's a ton of fun, but it gets so dark and miserable.
I like dark and miserable though, so I'm like,
You will
I'm
enjoy it.
intrigued.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very somber and just sad game in general.
Like,
Like everything
people
about the color
die.
palette, the people, the death, the misery.
Yeah.
I just really wish it wasn't the portable version. And if it was, I wish it somehow filtered in like the cutscenes and all that stuff from the original game, because I feel like if you play this, you're missing out on so much because it's not the definitive version of the game. It's just Persona 3 Portable, which was missing a bunch of stuff, but then fixed a bunch of other stuff. It makes no sense. I still recommend. Mary, do you have a PS3?
I do.
If you ever play Persona 3, play Persona 3 Fez on PS3 and not this one.
Okay.
But then she can't even like control her party.
That sucks, but it's worth it. It's worth losing that for the better presentation, the cutscenes.
See,
all
I
that stuff.
only played portable on the PSP, so like I never was played a version where you could just like walk around places outside of dungeons. And like at first I thought, well, this is a little different and weird, but the more I played, I was like, oh, this is so much more convenient. I don't need to waste all this time running from place to place to backtrack. I just pick a menu and bing bam boom.
John, there's something about that, small trek back and forth to like certain spots where it's like it starts to get, I've talked about this before. It starts to get like nostalgia, kind of like you start to get like comfy with the environment, like in Danganronpa, the school. It's just like, this is my home now. I'm living here now, and that's just how I sort of feel with like the hub worlds of the Persona games. They feel special.
Yeah, and I did definitely get that vibe in Persona 4, but at the same time, I also spent 109 hours on Persona 4, and I think a good chunk was a good
Running
chunk
back
of
and
it.
forth.
Yeah, plus like I tried not to use guides more than I had to, so I would be running back and forth through the areas all the time just to see if new side quests had opened up, because you couldn't really be sure when that was going to happen. So like, how many hours could I have saved if I just had like quick menu selections, So
it's true.
Team Portable.
This is why they should have put in the effort, put in the work, the time, and make a special version of the game that has everything. You can control your party. The graphics look closer to the PS2 version, which look better than the PSP version. You got the cutscenes. You got the Catherine reference where you got Vincent. Was that his name? Vincent in the bar.
Yeah,
that was cool though.
When he showed up, I thought like, oh well, clearly he's playing into the plot later, and then he just never did, and I was like, what's going on here?
Who is this guy?
I finally found out. Oh, this is a cameo for a game that doesn't exist yet. It's like, okay.
That was
new.
Great.
Yeah,
that's really funny. And he's like talking about the plot in that game, like
and he's like he's got some problems he's working out.
Yeah, he's like, man, I'm having some weird dreams lately. It's like, what are the dreams? Are you ever gonna tell me?
Nope.
Catherine's amazing. Go play that as well if you've never played Catherine.
Yeah, that's true. Play Catherine.
But yeah, amazing games. If you got to play portable, play it. But Mary, you're playing Fez, whether you like it or not.
Okay, noted.
But they're shutting down PSN soon, so you might want to buy it soon on PS3.
She can only be a girl by playing portable, though.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, you can be a girl.
Damn it! See, this is why they need a definitive version.
I was gonna say I'm used to having to play male protagonist video games. I'll just
pretty common.
Suck it up. I'll just deal with it.
You can still give him a girl name and just say it's a girl.
Hi, I'm Mary.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Mary. How's it going?
Yeah. And Mary dates girls in the game.
There you go.
And looks like a guy. No big
He kind of looks like a girl, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Pretty typical
feminine.
Japan protagonist. Yeah.
He's no what's his name? I started what's it called? Harvest Stella. When I was on the guy option, I was like, okay, so here's the girl option, and let me see what the guy option's like. And it switched to the girl. I was like, wait. So I switched back, and I'm like, this is the guy? This is the guy in this game? It literally just looks like a girl. Like, I'm like, what? I understand, like, SMT5. I thought that was a good balance. It's like, this is obviously a guy, but he's got some, like, female, like, feminine traits.
Oh,
but this game, it's like just the male is a guy. I mean, is a girl. Like, I don't understand it. But anyway, it's
like
not that
whatever.
big a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, he could still just have long hair and wear women's clothes. It's not a big deal.
Well, maybe the art designer like just drew like two really nice girl designs and was like, well, I want to use them both. And they're like, all right, that's the guy. Done.
Yeah.
We live in an open-minded society.
Yep, they do.
Yeah.
Actually, isn't Japan kind of worse than the U.S. in terms of that stuff?
Oh, much worse.
Yeah, so I don't.
It's
So
like, not even close. Like gay
Okay.
people, I think still can't marry there. Yeah.
wow. Okay.
I was trying to
Interesting.
think of who can, and it's Cuba, I think, who just suddenly decided that you can. Japan, no. Korea, no. Asia's
I just-
behind on that stuff.
I just imagine
Yeah, I
like
was
a bunch of
surprised that South
businessmen,
Korea was still behind.
a bunch of businessmen
That's
in
what
Cuba
they
sitting
like.
around the table, and one guy's just like, "Guys, come on." And they're just
The
all like,
gays.
"Okay, fine."
Well, the weirdest part is I think the people actually voted on it. So like
Oh, wow.
obviously I know nothing about the Cuban political structure, but somehow
You don't?
like
What?
yeah, somehow they were able to vote on that. I don't know. But yeah, good for you, Cuba.
Yeah, good for
But
you.
anyway, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Persona 3 and 4, go check them out. Next up on the list, we had Pokemon Scarlet. Got a 14-minute trailer. Did anyone here watch it?
Nope.
Okay,
Okay, I watched
I-
like 30 seconds of it.
Okay,
But that's
I had a feeling if anyone was gonna watch it, it was gonna be Mary, and she
Is
watched
that
30
the one
seconds.
with like sandwiches?
Sandwiches. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't watch it, but I read like the press release for it.
Yeah.
Okay, it kind of flew under the radar considering it's Pokemon. I feel like it flew under the radar a little bit.
I only watched for the giraffe egg evolution. Then I was like, okay, that's it. I'm done. It's cute. I love it.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. Like, I don't like. I'm really not in the mood for Pokemon yet. Like, usually by the time the next game rolls around, I'm like, all right, yeah, let's just play Pokemon. But we got it, the last one in January. It's not even gonna be a full year before this one's out, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I don't pick it up at launch. Like, maybe I just wait, and I don't know, or maybe I just skip it for now.
You're missing out on a whole open world, Brett.
I know, but then I saw like in the open world, just like little things bother me that just come off to me. I'm not trying to call out developers saying lazy or anything, but there are some things that I'm just like, how does this not look better? These textures on some of these environments look legitimately like an N64 game got up-resed into HD. That's what it looks like. Like how bad those textures look, and then you just simply up-res it and don't alter them in any way. It looks like an N64 game. And then like the Pokemon in the environment, like I'm pretty sure in Arceus, like when you killed a Pokemon, it would like timber over and like die. Like it had like an animation when it died. These ones literally shrink. When you kill it, it just shrinks. It doesn't react at all. The Pokemon just goes from big and shrinks down and just disappears. I'm just like, come on, you couldn't have made a death animation or just use the ones you already made before.
All right.
I don't know if it's for performance reasons they cut it, but I don't know. Or maybe I could be wrong.
Here's
Yeah.
a theory. All right. So you know how Walmart, well, you know how like the movie theaters, like they'll hire like the really elderly people for these jobs where they don't really have to walk any place. They just stand in one spot and like they'll take the ticket or whatever. They'll get you the popcorn. Maybe the Pokemon company did this with like really aged out Nintendo 64 developers. Like they were busy at home. The pension isn't quite covering it.
Come on,
so, like,
give it to him.
come in here, make some objects made out about
Look at that texture, Eric.
15
Pause
polygon-
it. Look at that texture. That's the one I sent earlier. That flag.
Yeah,
I can't even
so
believe it.
they're just
Beautiful.
getting the best team geriatric to make some assets for the game, and that's where they're coming from.
Yep, basically. It's got to
Yeah.
be it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'll
like
never die.
then some stuff does look pretty cool. Like that I love that gym leader. I think she's a gym leader. She's something like that. Her design's really cool, and then the thing she's on looks pretty cool. But a lot of stuff is just I'm just like, man, this just looks so badly put together in some ways. Like, and I understand it's for kids, all right? Everyone's gonna say you're mad about a kid's game. It's like it's okay to be disappointed in a kid's game because it's also aimed at adults. It don't say Pokemon's not aimed at adults. We all know it is as well. There's like a huge freaking competitive scene. You think the kids care about that? No. But anyway, yeah, Pokemon looks like dog shit. Let's move on to the next topic, which was
Yeah, kids.
Oh, yeah.
Kids are buying it with the jobs they have.
Exactly. In the coal mines. This last one's from Mary.
Apple
Specifically
Factory.
because I just saw it and I was like, damn, that looks awesome. At a recent event, Nintendo Live 2022, we saw a Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Link statue that was super awesome looking. And I just wanted to hear Mary's reaction to that statue. What'd you think?
When I first saw photos of it, I was like, I need HD, I need zoomed in, I need details. Because like I think I hadn't seen like the official photos yet, and like now
There
like
it is on screen. Beautiful.
yeah. And since there's been official photos, it's almost like someone knew that people were gonna want like nice zoomed in of like what's on the back of his glove, like all the details of the statue. Because we're Nintendo, we're Zelda fans, we have to analyze everything. So I'm very excited, and like just looking at the arm, it's so Twilighty. It's driving me crazy. And apparently it actually would like glow. Like it was actually like glowing. He's also got like
awesome.
really long fingernails. And I'm like, that's not his hand. That is like it's
It's a demon's.
hand. Is it? Yeah, like
Or it is Zelda's because she dies, just like in my theory.
maybe.
She's dead, and then he has to put her hand in his arm or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm wondering, like all the other details on it are like symbols that like we've seen before. But a lot of people are of course like focusing on like this hand that we don't know why it's like that, what the symbols mean. And I'm wondering if like there's more than one of these statues, and if they're gonna like start floating around now that Nintendo's going back to live events. Like PAX East is usually pretty early in the year. So I'm like, is there gonna be one at PAX East? Are we gonna start seeing this at other like little promo-y options, sort of thing? So if I get to go see this thing in person, I'm going to. Absolutely.
Awesome. It looks to me
really
like
cool.
his hand, it reminds me of Shadow of the Colossus, where like your guy is getting like infected by the energy of the monsters he's killing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like
So, I don't know.
it's so cool.
I wish I could
Yes.
see
I
that
don't know.
in person.
Yeah.
It's like life size. Like
Well,
that's
Well,
Mhm.
Mary's going to, whether Nintendo likes it or
I'm
not.
going to somehow see this thing in person.
I'm sure it'll be at E3 next year because I'm sure their whole booth will be all Zelda.
But E3 is after the release.
Right.
Or
Oh, is it?
usually, yeah. It
Yeah.
comes out in May.
May, yeah.
Oh, May. I thought it was June for some reason.
So
It could
Wow.
always end up showing up at the Nintendo New York store.
yeah.
That would be dope.
Have to
Mary's
go to
pretty
New
far
York.
from New York.
I'll do it. I haven't been in New York in a while. I haven't been in New York since like 2015. I'm due for a visit.
Oh, wow.
I'll do
There you
it.
go.
I've never been.
Me either.
Really?
Let's meet up. Let's go. We're going.
We're all gonna
Field
go to
trip.
the Nintendo
Yeah.
store.
Hell yeah. I've always wanted
TikTok
to go to the
time.
Nintendo
We're all
store.
gonna make TikToks in New York.
I usually am there.
But
like,
also coming out of that show, I want you to go to Doug Bowser's Twitter and look
Oh,
at the
God.
photos he posted from the show. Eric, I don't know if you can pull these up, but God, like this just proves my point. He doesn't know, like he looks like he didn't know what to take pictures of there. Like he has the most random things, like a Mario Kart cart. He just a sandwich.
I didn't
Who
know
is
he
this
had
guy?
a Twitter.
He should just delete it at this point.
he's
He-
doing
his-
the best he can.
His picture should literally be
Is he,
Bowser.
though?
Come on.
Like he should put himself in the picture somewhere.
Maybe he don't like how he
Ugh.
takes pics, how he looks in photos.
If he put
Good.
himself in a picture, then that would be a personality promoting himself, and Nintendo can't do that.
Yep. That's so weird. Like I feel like is it because it like puts too much, like they rely too much on those people, and then people can end up being terrible, and it's sort of just like a hazard that they don't want to have to deal with.
Well, maybe he
I-
only signed on for a contract for the next, 5 years or something. Who knows?
Well, I think it's more the case of that, like, not even like they're worried that, like, oh, it turns out Doug Bowser's a sex pervert. No, like, I don't think it's that. Like,
I wasn't gonna say it. Come on.
you have to entertain all possibilities. But
Put it on the box of the next Mario
Yeah,
game.
I like to see his Google searches.
Anywho, I don't even think it's that though. Like, I just think it's a case of like Nintendo doesn't want to be reliant on like these people in order to sell their games. They want the strength of the IP to be like so absolute that sells it itself. Like no Miyamoto required, like no Koizumi required, etc. And no sex
But
perverts.
still, like, no, we don't want people to love you. Don't include yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like
I don't know. It
it's
just
weird.
seems very like businessy. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that it's just like there's no personality. There's no fun with it. Like Nintendo
I
is
guess
a platform based off of fun, and this just seems like it's in the beginning of some marketing deck or a corporate email that was sent out. And it just
Yeah,
I guess they just want their characters, like their actual characters, to be the characters that the people know from their brands. Like
that
Mario
too.
and Samus and
Reggie actually showed up on the Kit and Krista podcast a few weeks ago, and that was like their first
I saw
special
that.
guest. Yeah, and they pretty much actually asked Reggie about this like specific thing, not the sex pervert part. And he in like a really
not just
nice
a pervert, a sex pervert.
a specific type. That's their specialty.
A dirty sex pervert.
An old,
Precisely.
dirty sex pervert.
So yeah, in a very polite, roundabout, quasi business speak sort of way, Reggie was basically like, yeah, Nintendo needs to figure out what they're doing there. Like he kind of intimated that Reggie doesn't really agree with that approach either. Like he does think there should be some personalities, but like he framed it in such a way that like Nintendo should just, like they just need to figure out what their next strategy is. He put it kind of like that, like kind of implying that like they need to figure something out.
Yeah, get people excited, man. Get people going. Turn on like Lady Lumps or something and show. I don't know. I'm just.
that was your choice of song.
It's from a movie or something. I don't remember what movie. Like old Will Ferrell movie.
Like, shoot fireworks from Miyamoto's crotch.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even that you mentioned that, John, like not the fireworks coming from his balls, but like, he was on he was on Jimmy Fallon, and like that whole I remember that was so much fun. That was like
3 years
so
ago.
good.
Everything was 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was like that was like such a like dope, like the way he like did the thumbs down, and then he was like, oh
Yeah.
like I was like, yeah, like
Yeah.
cool.
Everyone was
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
I
my
missed that.
grandfather.
Come on.
That was I think that was the launch of the Switch, I think.
Yeah, it was.
So
Yeah.
that was either 2017 or like late 2016 or after they announced it. So yeah, that was a while ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, this has been Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast where we come at you every week and talk about Nintendo games. We didn't talk about the games we're playing this week because we talked too much about dirty old sex perverts, but that's all right. It's just the way the
Alleged.
Yeah.
dirty.
Actually,
Alleged.
even that puts us in trouble because there's no allegations. We have to
No.
make perfectly clear we know nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's not even. You know what?
How about we just call Doug Bozo
we shouldn't
Bowser?
even-
How about that?
We shouldn't even have talked about this. I forgot where we
Big
work
ol'
at like a
bozo.
place.
Yeah.
I forgot where we worked.
Yeah. Like, come on, we can't
Everyone's
be
great.
talking about.
Everyone's nice.
Where you guys used to
Nobody's done
work.
anything bad.
No one's done anything bad. Let's put that absolutely clear.
Yeah.
We're just joking.
Yeah.
Now I regret it. I regret it now. Greg, damn it. All right.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. My computer's like so close to dying that I turned the brightness all the way down to 1, and I barely even
Nice.
see you guys. I'm like staring at a black screen basically. So yeah, we'll just head out pretty quickly because the show went a little long. I think. I don't know. We started late.
Well, we
but
started pretty late, yeah, so
Yeah.
we're kind of normal, but
yeah, I think we're normal. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, guys, and say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.
good night, Gracie.
Yeah.